as a team you go to play not thinking or seeing a possibility that you can steal it. When Clinton says they stand no chance, if you listen to that, you will be fooled. Because the truth of the matter is, when he was coaching Celtics, he would come with a very low block against us to try and make sure that he frustrates us as much as possible and steals the result at the end. He has done that several times. So now he's coming with this team that is very much unknown to many people, and it's easy for people to think it's going to be a walkover because we are playing an ABC Motsepe League team. But this team has just qualified in their stream in KZN to go to the playoffs to get into the NFT. And this is one of the well-resourced teams in the ABC Motsepe League in KZN, probably a team that is most likely to come into that space of Chatsworth Rangers, because it's based in Chatsworth and it's well supported in that space. So I do not want to be fooled by what Clinton is saying. I know he is coming to spring a surprise here, and we have to guard against any element of complacency and arrogance, because we don't want to be hurt. Yeah, no, it's also a preparation for them to see how far they are in their preparations for the playoffs. We are playing against a team, one, that has nothing to lose. You must never take that for granted in football. When you are playing against people, if you beat them, so what? But if they beat you, there's so much to be said. And I always say, personally as a coach, if there are any games in football that I'm always very particular about, are the games where everybody expects me to win. Those games where everybody thinks you are going to win and they don't care are the games that are the most stressful for a coach, because you want to make sure that you don't leave any stone unturned there, because one, you must remember, players are usually not intrinsically motivated to play those matches. They subconsciously, there is that element that says we are going to win this match. And you, as a coach, you have to fight that element as much as you can. I was making an example yesterday about the game of Almeric, when we had already qualified for the quarterfinals of the Champions League. With a lot of motivation and a lot of a fight to try and make them understand that we are trying to better our benchmarks. But if you look at the performance, the first half performance of that match, it tells you that there was an element subconsciously of complacency and taking things for granted, because our first half was not very good. And in terms of numbers and stats, I think we were 5 kilometers below our normal average at 45 minutes. And the number of shots at goals were also not looking good. The number of box entries were not looking good. And those are things as coaches that we should always be particular about, because they are indicators that maybe something is not taken as seriously as you think. Then fortunately, with the coaching staff that one has, we pushed the team very hard at halftime. We fought with them very hard to make sure that they understand the importance of the match and they go out and give it their best shot. And the second half was completely different. All the numbers improved suddenly, and we scored 2 goals in the process. So I'm just saying, even on this one, you will try and push and motivate, but sometimes 1 or 2 will be thinking, no, man, why the coaches are stressing? We are playing an ABC Motsepe League team, and those teams are normally the most dangerous. You don't want to be complacent against a team that everybody thinks you are going to beat.
Over the last 2 games, how has it affected the squad as on a positive note, and has he said anything since his last 2 good performances?
No, I speak to George a lot, and we have supported George in his journey with the other coaches a lot, because him not playing at Sundowns has not been because he was not capable or he was not fitting in. And a lot of people tend to make that mistake. It has never been down to that, but the few instances that I can mention, George has been one of the most unlucky players that I've ever worked with ever since he joined Sundowns. I think on 3 or 4 occasions, in the last day of training when we are preparing to go, in match day -1, he's already in the team. We are going to play Baroka, we are going to play Galaxy, we are going to play certain matches that I can count. He is already in the team. In that last match, he gets injured in a very sad way. You know, there was the last one where I remember he was on this right channel of the pitch and he was trying to pass Safranco. Last action of the training session, he was trying to pass Pavon, a very good pass behind the defense. Then the next thing, George is on the floor. What has happened? A quadriceps. He has had those unfortunate situations and they were coming thick and fast. And he has worked tremendously to get himself into the team. And he understood very early how difficult it was going to be for him to get into our team in the shape that he was in when he arrived. I'm sure you can see how much weight he has lost as it is. He's working very hard. He's a very disciplined professional. No wonder a lot of people are interested in seeing him playing. And also no wonder how his teammates are also so supportive to him because they know the journey that he has traveled. It has been a very rough journey that you would say, why this boy has so much bad luck? Because he has been working very hard. And physically, everybody can see and can attest that he is not the same George that we have seen in the past 3 seasons. He's a totally different player physically. He has lost so much weight and is looking very mobile. And we are just hoping he can maintain and stay in the pitch as much as he can, because that also says to us we have gained maybe 1 or 2 or 3 more players at the end of the season, because we have gained George now that he is playing. We have gained Lebu from a long-term injury, and Gaston also is coming back to help the team, and those are positives for us, because at the moment when you are losing Rivaldo, you're asking yourself what is going to happen, but you find yourself gaining a player like George, you find yourself gaining Lebu, you find yourself gaining a Gaston. Saavedra is coming very soon. Then the team again will still be having all the options that we've had in the past. So we are very happy for him as coaches. We are very happy as a club, because I think he adds a lot of value in our club. Yeah, I think on that one, it's a problem that really does not belong to us. That is a problem that belongs to other people. So if that moment comes, then they will have to deal with it. Ours is to try and make sure that we win the matches that we have to play and get ourselves in positions that we will be happy to achieve. If that problem comes into play, I believe the people who are in charge of the fixtures and all that will be able to look into it and come up with suggestions in that regard.
Coach, just team news ahead of the game, who's unavailable, who's coming back first?
Almost the whole squad is back now. The only few players that are still out, it's Gift Motupa, Rivaldo Kutsia, Erwin Saavedra. At this stage, those are the ones that I'm thinking about. Thapelo Mrena is also not, we are not sure yet whether he'll be back or not, but he should be back very soon. But almost everybody else is available, and unless I'm forgetting someone. But at this stage, I think everybody else is close to playing. Even Dennis is almost ready to play. Kennedy had flu in the previous match. I believe he would be back for this one. So the whole squad is probably available.
Last 2 questions. Any questions?
I can do
Okay. You can have it. Lorenzo, then we're done. Thanks.
Yeah. Coach, earlier here this week, there was a huge announcement of a new sporting director, and listening, even though I was not here, but listening, most of the words that came out, it talks about philosophy, it talks about identity, it talks about sustainable, continued success. When one watches Sundowns and one listens to people even from outside the country, they talk about this quality brand of football. How difficult is to have that culture inculcated coming from the down structures. And even as much as there's new ideas coming from outside, but how important it is to make sure that what this club has always been about in terms of its identity of play and how they do things is not really tampered with.
I think we are the custodians of how Sundowns plays at this stage, and we are responsible for making sure that Sundowns looks the way it looks. And I do not think the arrival of Fleming is going to cause any problems in that regard. In fact, I think it's going to enhance maybe better continuity from the youth to the senior team, because it is very important that we start to embrace this position in South Africa, because it's a very important position throughout the world in all the big teams to have a sporting director that can make sure that all the processes of the first team do filter through to all the other divisions within the structure. He's coming with very vast experience in youth football. He's coming with vast experience in youth scouting. And that should add a lot of value in what we want to achieve as Sundowns. We, at some point, produced a lot of youngsters that even came to the first team, the Pesitaus and Madishas and all that. But of late, we've not really brought a lot of youngsters from the youth. And those are the question marks that we must keep asking ourselves. And you then need somebody who becomes the direct link in making sure that whatever is happening in the first team does filter down to the other divisions. And it will also be nice for us to also learn a few things, because maybe there are some areas of the game that we are still short on. In football, you never stop learning. So to have somebody with such vast experience, who has worked for Chelsea, who has worked in the Danish Football Association, and they've done what they've done, you must believe there is something that you still have to learn. The moment you start thinking you have arrived in football, you are creating problems for yourself. And having met with Mr. Fleming and talking to him, sharing ideas in football, the first impression that I got is that he is a very good person. And that for me is the most important thing, that you are sitting with somebody who is open-minded, who is willing to learn from you, and that gives you a chance to also say, why would I not want to learn from this person if he also wants to learn from me? And besides, the talks I've had, they showed that he's a very knowledgeable person. And I would still want to have a lot of opportunities to spend some time with him so that I can pick and get a few things from him. And I've learned from probably all these technical directors that have come to Sundowns. Jose had some very important inputs in our academy and in our team. Was that Ericsson? No. Eric. Eric also had the one who went to coach Iceland. He also had very good ideas about the game, and structurally very correct in many aspects. So personally, as a person, I'm very open-minded, and I know in life, if you always look at the negative side of things, you don't really get the best of what you should learn from each and every individual. But the first impressions that I have of Mr. Fleming is that he's going to really add a lot of value in our team. And everybody else, even our youth coaches, should be excited to be in that space and learn as much as they can, so that whenever he decides to leave one day, he leaves us with vast knowledge and experience that might be necessary to take our football as a country to the next level. Peter is a very exemplary player to any young professional that aspires to become a top footballer. I think there is a lot you can learn from the humility that he presents. He's one player that will probably be number one if there was a meeting here, will be number one on the pitch. every game, even if we are playing a small-sided game, he's got this mentality of wanting to score, of wanting to see the ball touching the net. And that makes him to have some of the best attributes of some of the top players. No wonder his consistency. Because if you check at Highlands Park, the goals he scored, he comes to Sundowns, 2 seasons in a row, he's delivering. And that says he is one of the most important players for Sundowns. And if he's the most important player for Sundowns, then naturally that says he's one of the biggest players in Africa, because we believe Sundowns is one of the biggest competitors in Africa. So I will agree with you to say I think he's one of the best players in the continent.
One more time.